Hello and welcome to Story to Fluency. Today we will talk about a time when I was broke and alone in a new city. This story begins on the day I arrived. I remember stepping off the bus and standing still. The city was loud. Cars, voices, footsteps everywhere. But no one was there for me. I had one small bag on my shoulder. Inside it were a few clothes and a lot of hope. My phone was almost out of battery. My bank account was almost empty. I looked around and realized something slowly. This city didn't know me, and I didn't know this city. Tall buildings surrounded me. People walked fast like they had important places to go. They didn't look lost. I did. I checked my money again, even though I already knew the number. I told myself, just stay calm, you'll figure it out. But my hands were shaking. I found a cheap place to stay. It wasn't comfortable, but it was all I could afford. When I closed the door behind me, the room felt very small. That was the moment it hit me. I was really alone. No familiar faces, no one to call, no backup plan. I sat on the bed and listened to the city outside the window. I whispered to myself, this is my new life now, and I didn't know if I was ready for it. That first night in the new city felt endless. I turned off the light and lay on the bed. The mattress was thin. The room smelled old. Outside, I could hear everything. Cars passing by, people laughing, music playing somewhere far away. Life was happening, just not for me. I stared at the ceiling and tried to relax, but my mind refused to slow down. Questions kept coming. What if I can't find a job? What if my money runs out? What if I have to leave in shame? I checked my phone again. No messages, no missed calls. I thought about home, about familiar streets, about people who knew my name. Here, I was nobody. My stomach felt tight, not from hunger, from fear. I told myself, just get through tonight. Tomorrow, you'll start again. But sleep didn't come easily. Every sound felt louder. Every thought felt heavier. In the dark, I realized something important. Being alone in a new city doesn't start in the morning. It starts at night, when there is no one to distract you from your own thoughts. And that night, my thoughts were not kind. I woke up before my alarm. The room was quiet now, too quiet. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then everything came back. The city, the room, the fear. I reached for my phone and checked the time. Early morning. I opened my banking app. I already knew what I would see, but I checked anyway. The number was still there, small, embarrassingly small. I sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. Today had to mean something. I washed my face with cold water and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked tired, but I nodded to myself. Okay, I said quietly, let's try. Outside, the city was waking up. Shops were opening, people were buying coffee. Everyone seemed to have a purpose. I bought the cheapest coffee I could find and held the cup with both hands, not because it was cold, because I needed something to hold. I sat on a bench and watched people pass by. They walked fast. They looked confident. I wondered how much money they had. I wondered if they had ever felt like me. The morning sun felt warm on my face. For a second, I felt hopeful. But then I looked at the time. I had a long day ahead and no idea how it would end. After finishing my coffee, I stood up and started walking. I didn't have a clear plan. I just knew I needed a job. I walked past offices, cafes, and small shops. Some places had signs on the door. Now hiring. Help wanted. Each sign gave me a little hope. I walked inside the first place. My voice was quiet when I spoke. Are you hiring? The manager looked at me for a second, then said, "Leave your resume." I thanked them and walked out. I did the same thing again and again. Some people were polite, some were cold. One person said, "We'll call you." I smiled and nodded, but deep inside I knew they probably wouldn't. By midday, my confidence started to disappear. Every rejection felt heavier than the last. I walked slower now. My shoulders felt tight. At one place, they didn't even let me finish my sentence. "No," they said, without looking up. I walked outside and stood on the sidewalk for a long time. People passed me like I wasn't there. I realized something painful. Looking for a job isn't just about work. It's about being judged. And that day, I felt judged by everyone. By the afternoon, my body felt heavy. I had been walking for hours. My legs hurt. My feet burned inside my shoes. I checked the time. Then I checked my money again. I skipped lunch, not because I wasn't hungry, because I was afraid. Every small purchase felt dangerous. Every coin mattered. My stomach growled quietly. I pretended not to hear it. I walked past restaurants and cafes. I smelled food everywhere. Fresh bread, hot meals. It felt like torture. I sat down on a bench and closed my eyes. The sun was still up, but I felt empty. I thought, how did I end up here? I used to have plans. I used to feel strong. Now I was tired, hungry, and unsure. When I stood up again, my legs shook. I forced myself to walk. I told myself, just a little more. Don't stop now. But every step felt heavier than the last. That afternoon, I learned something simple and painful. Hope is harder to hold when your body is weak. That evening, I went back to my room. I closed the door slowly. The silence felt heavy. I sat on the bed and didn't move. My body was tired, but my mind was louder than ever. I looked at my phone. Still no messages. I wanted to call someone, anyone, but I didn't know what to say. "How are you?" "I'm fine." That would be a lie. I lay down and stared at the wall. My chest felt tight. Breathing felt harder. Then it happened. Tears started falling, quietly at first, then all at once. I didn't try to stop them. I felt ashamed. I felt weak. I whispered to myself, "You did this to yourself." The room didn't answer. That night, I felt smaller than I ever had before, not because I failed, but because I felt forgotten. In that moment, being alone wasn't just about people. It was about feeling invisible. The next morning, I woke up slowly. My eyes were swollen, my head hurt. For a moment, I stayed in bed and thought about quitting, going back, ending this story early. It felt tempting. But then I sat up. I remembered why I came here. Not for comfort, not for safety, for change. I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. Really looked. "You're still here," I said. That has to mean something. I took a deep breath and made a simple decision. I would not quit today. Not tomorrow, not yet. I didn't need a big plan. I just needed to keep moving. I wrote 3 words in my notes. Stay calm, stay hungry, stay moving. I opened the door and stepped outside again. The city was the same, but I wasn't. That afternoon, I went to a small park. I didn't go there for a reason, I just needed air. I sat on a bench and watched people pass by. Children were laughing. Someone was walking a dog. Normal life. I felt far away from it. An old man sat down next to me. He didn't look at me at first. After a while, he smiled and said, "Long day?" I nodded. He didn't ask more questions. He didn't need details. After a moment, he said, "This city is hard on newcomers." I looked at him, surprised. He continued, "It breaks you a little before it accepts you." Then he stood up and walked away. That was it. No advice, no solution. But something inside me felt lighter. Someone saw me. Someone understood. Sometimes one small moment is enough to change the weight of a day. That evening, I walked through the city again. But this time, I walked slower. I noticed things I had ignored before. Lights in windows, music from cafes, people talking and laughing. The city didn't feel as cold. I realized something important. Everyone here was struggling with something, not just me. Behind every confident face, there was a story. Maybe they were once new too. Maybe they were once lost. I stopped blaming the city. It wasn't against me. It was just busy. For the first time, I felt like I could belong here. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day. That thought was enough. That night, I returned to my room again. Nothing had changed. I was still broke, still alone, still unsure. But something inside me was different. I sat on the bed and took a deep breath. I wasn't angry anymore. I understood one thing clearly. This city didn't owe me anything. I had to earn my place. Slowly, quietly, one step at a time. I laid down and closed my eyes. For the first time since arriving, I felt calm. Not because everything was okay, but because I accepted where I was. This was not a failure. It was a beginning. I was still here. And as long as I was still here, the story wasn't over.